Hello and welcome to the January 2022 Positive Images Festival Poetry Workshop. Thank you to Positive Images Festival for funding these workshops. They're usually in person. We're doing just last month's and this month's online, and then we'll be back meeting in Coventry at Central Library on the last Sunday of each month. And it's 1 till just after 3 o'clock, so you are welcome to join us if you're local. If you're not and you enjoy this workshop, there's sort of a year and a half's worth of older workshops that you can dip into and enjoy. Thank you to all the people who support these online and via paper copies and in person, and feel free to share the sessions with others who may enjoy them. If you hear any noises in the background, it will be, as my regulars know, guinea pigs and or rabbits. So we'll see how much we can get away with. They're just eating, so hopefully that will keep them quiet for a good 20 minutes. Our first poem that we're going to look at today is Gasped by Drago Stanbuk. So Drago Stanbuk was born on the 20th of September 1950. He's a Croatian physician, poet, essayist and an ambassador. Stanbuk was born in Selka on the island of Brač. Stanbuk is a popular poet in Croatia, having published more than 70 books of poetry. They've been widely translated and he is regarded as one of the leading Croatian contemporary poets. There's a number of his collections in English that are online that you can purchase, should you want to. So this one's a short one called Gasped. You slept through the night. Extinguished stars lie on the table among scattered clothes. In the nasolacrimal corners, white, crumbling tears. Breath taps your eyelids. You will not open. What I really like about this poem is the use of personification. So that's a posh word for giving inanimate objects or things that aren't human qualities. So in this example, we've got some of the things are the stars, the tear ducts, which is that complicated word that I had to Google, and breath. So they are all doing different things. The extinguished stars are lying on the table. Stars can't really lie on a table. We'll call them tear ducts just for my own sanity, but it's part of the tear ducts. Are in the corners, and the corners of the room are described as crumbling tears. And at last the breath taps on the eyelids, and then it's a very distinct "you will not open." It's quite unusual, not completely unheard of, but unusual for a poem in the second person. I quite like them, the "you" coming through. And it's not "you will not open them," it's "you will not open." So we're looking at somebody who's a closed person, which is an example of a metaphor. So there's a lot going on in this short space. But back to the personification, because this is what I would like you to have a go at today. Think of a few everyday things. If it was me, I'd probably list them in a notebook. So you could go with stars or with breath. You could have a look around your room. Is there a pen or a book? What's outside? Is there leaves or flowers? He uses really quite, I was going to say small, I know stars aren't that small, but they're very zoomed in images, so it's not like a table standing in the corner. It's the stars, something you wouldn't usually see in the room, which is quite interesting. So make the list of objects and have a think about what actions they could be doing. So bring them to life. What if you picked breath, you know, having it tapping on the eyelids, that's really powerful. But what other actions could these words be doing? If you're stuck, take your first list, make a second list of verbs, so doing words, and match them together. So you might find that you have a pen jumping, and then just work out where in the room it could be doing that, and have a play. It's about having a bit of fun, really. So are they on the table? Are they in the corner of the room? Are they tapping on your eyelids? What are these things doing? So try and create 3 examples, aim for 3, of personification where you've got an object doing something that a human would do but an object wouldn't, and see if you can use them in a poem. Okay, next up we have an inspiring quote, because who doesn't love an inspirational quote? So this one this month is by Agatha Christie. Usually pick poets, but not always. She said, "The best time to plan a book is while you're doing the dishes." And I think that's relevant for poems as well. So maybe you don't want to write a book. Maybe you just enjoy writing poetry. I say just, if you enjoy writing poetry, that's why we do it, isn't it? But you might be doing something that's quite mundane, or something that requires you to be very much in the moment. So walking, or swimming, or hoovering, or dusting. And while you're doing it, you can let your brain sort of travel off and get some ideas. It's interesting to see where it goes. Especially, I think, if you are doing something that's an outside activity, or you're looking out a window, like if you're doing the dishes and you've got a window by your sink, because it makes us see things that we might not notice normally, that we might just walk past or not pay much attention to. But it's interesting to note that bird in the tree, or that person walking down the street, and wondering what their story is. And I think that quite often poems can emerge out of just a very natural environment like that. So that's something to think about anyway. Next up, we've got a quick write activity. So there's no poem attached to this. This is just you doing your thing. You might not even come up with a poem, but we'll see. So, writing to music. Either pop the radio on, Classic FM is quite a good one for this, or check out playlists on Spotify. There's a nice acid jazz one that I sometimes use. Or you can search YouTube for playlists. So this could be like an Enchanted Forest playlist, or there's actually specific playlists for writing to. I personally would go with something purely instrumental, because the words, when I'm trying to think of words, don't help me. It's the music and the sound that helps, and the feeling from that. Get your pen and paper and just see where it takes you. So maybe it's a poem, maybe it's prose, maybe it's notes for a poem that you want to write later on, or a story. That's fine. But just write and listen to the music and imagine what's happening. Let it just bring images to you and see where you get. Even if you end up writing about writer's block, that's okay too. Just have a go at writing something, and I'll see you in the next activity. Okay, hope you're having fun. This is the last of our 3 writing challenges, and it's inspired by the poem Choices by Tess Gallagher. She dedicated this poem to Drago Stanbuck, who you will remember from the first activity. Don't say that I don't plan these well. I do like this poem very much. It's called Choices. I go to the mountainside of the house to cut saplings and clear a view to snow on the mountain. But when I look up, saw in hand, I see a nest clutched in the uppermost branches. I don't cut that one. I don't cut the other ones either. Suddenly, in every tree and unseen nest where a mountain would be. Tess Gallagher, born 1943, is an American poet, essayist, short story writer. As many of these people are, they have more than one string to their bow. She's won numerous awards for her work, including fellowships from the Guggenheim Foundation, the National Endowment for the Arts, and a Maxine Cushing Gray Foundation Award. She met poet Drago Stanbuck in London at Doris Lessing's garden party in 1984, and that's who she dedicates that poem to. So this poem captures her doing an everyday task. She went to trim down the branches of the trees so she had a better view of the mountains outside her house. Only when she goes to do it, she knows that if she cuts those branches down, something else is going to suffer. And instead of not cutting that one branch down, she then can't bring herself to cut any of them down because there might be nests that she doesn't know about, or at least the potential for nests instead of where she would want to see the mountain. So she has a choice and she chooses to leave them. Of course, that's what it's about on the surface. The secondary meaning leads us to think of what choices we have and what actions we do in life, that what are we cutting down or not cutting down, metaphorically speaking. So, thought we'd have a little poem based on the theme of choices. What choices do we make on an everyday basis? And have you ever made a really difficult choice? It would be very interesting, potentially, to explore that in poetry. So have a go and see what you come up with. It might rhyme, it might not rhyme. It might be short, it might be long. It can be anything that you want it to be. The important thing is that it's yours and you have a bit of fun doing it. So thank you again to everyone who supports the Positive Images Festival workshops. Next session is the last Sunday of the month. We'll be meeting on the 27th of February 2022 in person at Central Library, 1 p.m. till 3:10 p.m. in person in Coventry. However, if you enjoyed this and you want to look back at the other workshops, I'm hopeful they won't go out of date, although you might not fancy doing the December one in summer because it probably is going to be Christmas themed from memory. Have a good month and I'll see you soon. Take care.